Welcome to Quilting on the Side, the podcast where we uncover the secrets to turning your passion for quilting into a profitable side hustle.
I'm Tori from the Quilt Patch by Tori.
And I'm Andi from True Blue Quilts. And together, we're your co-hosts on this exciting journey of creativity, entrepreneurship, and all things quilting.
We're here to help you navigate the world of quilt pattern design, course creation, digital marketing, and running an online quilt business. We've been through the ups and downs ourselves, so we know what it takes to make money from your favorite hobby.
That's right, Tori. We're going to share our experiences on how we've grown our businesses while balancing family with other paying work responsibilities. It's not always easy, but it's definitely possible. Welcome back to another episode of Quilting on the Side. We are so glad to be here. Thank you to our audience for tuning in for all of season 4. Tori, I can't believe we've wrapped up another season already.
I can't believe we've done 4 seasons.
Yeah, and what was the stats? We're closing in on 75 episodes and over 20,000 downloads. So those numbers are really incredible. Thank you to our audience for supporting us along the way. But we have made it a tradition at the end of each season to celebrate and offer a little recap by our fabulous guests over this season. So we'll just run them down. We had Kay Collins from OK Quilting, and what a fun lady and such a diverse pathway that she has led to her current offer.
Yeah, she was actually one that I went back and listened because I don't listen to every single one, but I do kind of take time to listen to at least half of them throughout the season. Kay was really fun to listen back to and hear her journey from working with a company to starting her own retreat that sold out. Like, that was an amazing story. And she's a long arm quilter, so we don't have a lot of long arm quilters on our show. Well, actually,
I was going to say, no, we've had a lot. That seems to be a really popular pathway into making money from this craft, is offering that service. So yeah, we've been able to talk to several long arm quilters. But yeah, I was really encouraged by Kay's story of how she finally developed her own online courses to go along with the retreats and things. I've been contemplating that.
Yes, we need to get your course out there.
So it was very inspiring to talk to Kay. And we also branched out with a couple gals that were not directly inside the quilt industry. And one of those was actually a childhood friend of mine, Mindy Lewis, who has the Cozy Craft Room here in Mesa, Arizona. So we talked to a brick and mortar shop owner. That was fun.
That was so cool to hear. That was one interview that I wasn't live for, but I loved listening to it. She had kind of my dream shop in mind. If I were to go brick and mortar, maybe in the future, I would love to have a space for people to come and create. I loved listening to her episode. That was a really good one.
Yeah. My husband and I had actually talked about this, 20 plus years ago, about the need for some of those type of community spaces, that there just aren't places available for groups, the smaller groups, the groups of 10 to 20-ish people that just want to get together for a meeting. It's too many to meet in your house, but it's not big enough or profitable enough to rent a big space. I think Mindy has hit on a very unique and fun endeavor there, and it was great to talk to her about that. We also talked to another gal that we've both known for a while, Jenny of Jenny K Quilts, and that was fun reconnecting with her because she actually came to our Audacious virtual retreat a couple years ago, so that was fun to see her again.
Our very first one, our very first retreat. Yeah. A thing that I remember most about her interview was her journey and her mindset. I remember her at the retreat being it seemed conflicted, like she was hitting a barrier. And then to have her on the podcast and kind of not reintroduce, but get to know her again and reconnect. There's the word. Thank you. Reconnect with Jenny and see the journey she's been on and hear her shift and how she changed the way she thought and then her business grew. I think we had a really cool guest, and she was definitely one that modeled what we hear about a lot in business, which is that your mindset makes your business. If your mindset is right, then your business will grow. And it's something that I've been on my own journey with too. So it's really cool to see that mirrored with Jenny. What do you remember from her episode?
I remember her talking about that mindset shift. And once she did that internal work, then she was able to blossom and take her business to another level, because it's not like she was floundering, really. She was busy and, you know, making money with her offers, but it seems like she really now has the confidence to step out into that authority and really take ownership. So very inspiring, and something we can all strive for and realize those benefits, because they're right there. We just have to believe in it and step out in faith. So that was great.
And speaking of which, next guest after her was Devan, which she's our podcast editor, and she spoke all about self-confidence.
Yeah, those two episodes paired so nicely, because Devan was actually the guest speaker at our retreat that Jenny learned from and then went on this journey. So it was really a fun full circle moment to hear that. And I felt it gave our audience a really good insight at some of these business partnerships that you find with other entrepreneurs as you go. Because like you said, we developed this editing relationship with Devan, and she's got her own podcast. She has her own coaching business, and it just is really great to make those connections and have the opportunity to collaborate with other business owners who understand the struggles, but they're not intimately connected with the quilt world.
I love how she took her her experience with coaching and then kind of tweaked it to helping entrepreneurs. So she's in there helping business women with not only their tasks and podcast editing stuff like we do, but also in there with the mind shift and the confidence. And she kind of sees where they might be held up. And I think that's a really cool way to combine her skills and move forward. Like, I really liked that part of her interview.
Yeah.
It was really cool.
Yeah. And then we moved on to a gal that we met at QuiltCon, which was the other big event that we'll get back to. But we had Susan Smith on with Stitched by Susan, and she's another long armer. So Tori's memory of not talking to long arm folks was a little bit skewed.
That's really wrong on that.
Susan gave us a great rundown of her long arm business, and I was fascinated with the story of putting together a whole cruise. So this idea of events and retreats built around your expertise is an area that I'd like to explore more in the future.
I feel like you're foreshadowing.
Yeah.
And then we had you. Can we talk about you as a guest?
I guess.
I thought your episode about summits and your experience with your latest summit was a really great episode, because there are so many summits out there that I think it was great to give the insider perspective, because not all of us have the confidence, the excitement, the know-how to join a summit, but also didn't know what goes on the back end. And you gave a great complete picture of the expectations that there were of you, how you prepared. You even gave great advice on what you could do in between summits or before you even sign up for a summit, just have something ready for the next summit. Like, I thought your episode was really, really insightful. So thank you for sharing your experience about summits.
Well, thank you. Yeah. And I'm considering being part of the Tour de Fabric this summer. So there's another summit. You can make it a retreat and listen to the summit broadcasts, but the Tour de Fabric Summit is going to happen in July. So at the time of this recording, they are still gathering presenters and things for that.
Oh,
so that's
were
fun.
they really? So audience, if you're interested in being on a summit, go listen to Andi's episode. It's called Summit Experience with Andi. And then go sign up for Tour de Fabric.
Yeah. And we rounded out our guest season, and I haven't forgotten Tori's episode, but we're going to come back to that with some other topics. But our last guest of the season was Dara Thomason, who was our first repeat speaker. So that was fun to reconnect with her.
She always has great insight and advice to give. I love having Dara on.
Yeah, she's so generous to actually do a coaching session, because she is a life coach for quilters. She focuses on your weight loss journey, since that tends to be the first self-improvement barrier that a lot of people need to get over before they can do some of the deeper work. And I just think it's fabulous, and I learn something new every time I chat with Dara. So that was a fun episode.
Yeah, I finally went to my first coaching session. I know I shared with her episode that I hadn't gone to one yet. I did go to one, and I have lost 6 pounds since I joined on just her initial coaching and then the one session I went to. So if you're looking for help, Sarah has been amazing.
Yeah. The whole group is fabulous. Yeah, so that was Dara Thomason rounded out our guest list, but we always intersperse some topical conversations. And Tori, you had a great insight for us on artificial intelligence. That was the big topic that I kind of pseudo interviewed Tori, just let her teach me all the things because she's been a little more adventurous about diving into the world of AI.
It's been so fun learning about it and how to make tools for quilters on the back end. I first realized what this could be and how it could impact not only my members in the digital marketing and magic coaching, but also making an offer for the public. I was so excited. I've been learning still more about it. So it's been a great journey with AI. And speaking of AI, I'd love to talk about the AI Quilter came out with a book just recently. The AI Quilter is her handle on Instagram. I did not write down the title of her book to share with you right this second because it just came to mind, but she just came out with a book and it's about design with AI and how to use AI in your design process. I saw Carly Porter share about it. I've been following the AI Quilter for probably almost a year now, I want to say. So I've been seeing her stuff on and off, and it was a really fascinating look at how to use AI with design. Because when we talked, it was just, I'm just talking about emails and writing because that's what I struggle with. And then she was talking about using it in your design process. So I haven't read the book yet. However, it is on my wish list, and it's something that I think I'm going to get like really, really soon because it looks really cool. Yeah. And so if you are interested in using AI for design, it may be something to look into.
Yeah, that'll be a topic for a future episode when we dive into that aspect of it. But yeah, that was a great conversation and I learned a lot. And thank you so much for sharing and for making these resources available. I mentioned earlier that our big event of the year was QuiltCon, and we devoted 2 episodes in season 4 to QuiltCon because Tori was able to come visit me in person. So we were both in the same room talking when we did that recap episode. And that was a lot of fun. Thanks again for making the trip.
Yeah, that was a lot of fun. I love sitting there on the bench outside of QuiltCon, just recording our episode about what we took away from QuiltCon.
Yeah. So now that it's been a few months, what has stuck with you since your trip to QuiltCon?
Well, I made a few connections at QuiltCon that have helped further my business, which I didn't really expect, to be honest. I thought I would go and have fun and maybe have some inspiration from the quilt, the arts, that side of it, which is still kind of dead. It helped encourage me to just kind of experiment with my quilting lately. Like I kind of felt exhausted with this past launch that I was doing. So I did something I called organized chaos quilting, where I took 2 charm packs and I just started sewing them together. I mixed them up and I looked away and then I would choose squares and just sew whatever together. So it's got this scrappy feel. It's just a bunch of 4 patches. I'm still trying to figure out how to make it into an actual quilt, but it was fun just to kind of experiment. And I felt that inspiration came from the improv I saw and the life and energy that's at QuiltCon. I don't know if that makes sense, but that's kind of where the inspiration comes from. So much of my life is organized. And when I went to QuiltCon, seeing especially the improv quilts, I think really stuck with me, and how they wrote about their experimentation and how they were putting these ideas together and this quilt and these different quilts together that I just kind of wanted to play and see what happened. Yeah. I think that's what I took away the most from. But what about you, Andi? Now it's been a few months. What has stuck with you?
I always find new people to follow and new quilt trends and that kind of thing. I need to up my quilt clothing game because that was one of the lasting memories, was just the whole parade of people that had gorgeous pants, skirts, tops, dresses, all of it. But like you, I also found some inspiration for my business. I went to several of the lectures and, was totally thinking, hey, I could do that. Why haven't I applied yet? So I will definitely be keeping my eye out on those teaching deadlines to feel the fear and do it anyway. And just, it was really interesting talking to some of my friends who had brand deals and the way they were able to structure their guest appearances on the vendor floor. And two of my regrets were some of the classes I took. I feel like I'm at the point where I thought I was being selective and only taking classes that I really wanted to hear from that instructor. But I think I can be even more selective about the classes I take because some of it did feel like I could have figured this out on my own. I didn't need to spend the convention prices for that kind of class. And maybe it probably would have been different if I could have coordinated with you or someone else to have a buddy in the class. But going as an individual was where a little bit of my disappointment came in. And then I don't think the all access lecture pass is worth the money. So I'll just be flat out and say, pick and choose. There is so much going on. You don't want to go over to the lecture hall and miss everything else that's happening on the show floor. I was only able to make one lecture a day. Why pay the all access price when I could have just scheduled that one lecture? Although the lectures I went to were fabulous. So no disrespect there. But it's one of those things you have to go into it knowing that there's going to be FOMO. There's way too much going on to be involved in all of it. And you just have to, pick and choose.
I was thinking pick your poison because It's all great, like you said.
Yeah. Yeah. And I think that was part of my frustration is I was trying to do it all and I was still missing some things. So you have to just decide what your experience is going to be like and craft it around your perceived energy, your perceived goals. I think that was key. And that was one thing that I think seeing your example, talking to some of the other quilt business owners that we were able to connect with was that they were really intentional about, I am going to QuiltCon because I want to see these specific vendors. I want to catch up with these specific friends. I want to experience these classes. So you really can make it a good, worthwhile event. And I can't wait for the next, it's doubtful I'll be able to go to North Carolina next year, but maybe 2026. We'll see when it comes back out this direction.
You made me think of the people that we got to interview at QuiltCon, which is our second episode. And I finally got to see some of my online friends in person and interview them, like Kina.
Mm-hmm.
Kina was so much fun. And it was so great watching her, meeting her eyes and waiting for her to recognize me. And then her excitement, oh my gosh, her excitement, I hope mirrored back because I was just as excited to see her in person. And then we had some new friends, we met Carly Porter on that question and answer session. We met a wonderful person named Trish, who was, I don't want to mess it up. I think it was T-shirt quilting.
I know I didn't write those notes down for that.
It was so fast because they're rapid fire, but it was really fun to meet new people. And I know I had an old friend who got to talk about what she did with Costa Rica, Quilts for Costa Rica. That was really cool. And do you remember the kind of people that you got to interview?
Yeah, I talked to some people that I had met before. Laura was a retreat planner. And so I met her on a local retreat last year. So that was fun seeing her at QuiltCon. And then Jessica from Jessica Steele Designs. And I love her sports themed quilts. She's just a fabulous gal. It was fun to talk to her.
And you also had a fangirl moment. Maybe it wasn't somebody recognized you, right?
Yeah, because I was actually wearing this t-shirt that it says, ask me about my favorite podcast. And I wasn't overwhelmed with people, but it always is a pleasant surprise when someone taps me on the shoulder and is like, well, you told me to ask. And so then my standard response is, well, it's the one I host, Quilting on the Side. And when I had that conversation with one lady, she was like, I knew I recognized your voice. I listen to you all the time. And so it was one of those fun moments that, yay, we are connecting with people and they are finding value in what we're sharing here. So yeah, that was a fun moment from QuiltCon. But we did fill up the season with some other topics, some ideas about professional development, launching, relaunching.
The Guild Lecture episode that we did got a lot of good feedback. So if you're interested on developing your own guild lectures, go listen to that one. That one was really good.
I think that covers it. So as you can see, we had a lot of diverse topics, guests, insights all throughout season 4. And we thank our audience again for sticking with us for these episodes. And there's more to come, but there's a little bit of a shift. And we always like to be transparent on this podcast. And I don't know how we're going to make money at this, Tori.
So what we're struggling with is just covering our costs. Yeah. I mean, from here on out, we are looking at dismantling the website and going a little more simpler route, maybe with a landing page, so that people can still find us and be directed to the podcast.
And all the platforms that you host podcasts on, like Apple Podcasts, Spotify, Buzzsprout, they all have the show notes with the description of the episode. So it's not like you're losing a lot of information if there's not a separate Quilting on the Side website.
And we found ourselves moving to Patreon, which had some really great features. And we both realized that Patreon can host some of the things that we're putting on the website. So we love the website because it had a shop with it. So you could get themed t-shirts and things like that, but nobody's buying from the shop. So that's okay. And that's something that we tried that we know now doesn't work, or at least didn't work for our audience. We also had the website for a blog, which could move to Patreon, which we can have some free resources and some for our paid members. And we kept the Patreon really inexpensive. It's only $5 to join for a paid experience, and then $15 if you want the live question answer. But we're thinking of moving the podcast more to Patreon rather than its own website to help us with the cost, so we can keep doing this and help you guys bring more episodes, bring more guests, and help you build your business. But it's costing so much on this end that we're looking to cut costs, and that's the direction we're moving. Is that fair to say?
Yeah. So we haven't figured out what that's all going to look like. We will definitely keep you informed. And the best way to do that is to get on our email list. And if you can, support us on Patreon, and you will be the first to know what the future looks like for Quilting on the Side. But that also brings up the larger question and concern about the economy and what's going on in the world, which is definitely impacting the quilt world.
Definitely, especially with the tariffs. We've seen a lot of people sharing about what tariffs are, how they're impacting the quilting industry as a whole, and some people sharing how they're getting impacted individually. I really loved the reel that Karen McTavish shared, where she just said it how it is. These tariffs are affecting your fabric. They're affecting all of these different areas of the quilting industry. I'm paraphrasing. And she had a few suggestions on how to keep showing up for the quilting industry so that we can keep this industry alive and to help our local shops. One of which was buy a full-priced yard of fabric, which I think we can all pretty much do. Maybe not all. That might not be fair to say, but finding different ways to support your favorite parts of this industry and any way that looks to you. Now that Joann's is closing down, we also saw a lot of people sharing lists of local shops. So like by Annie had a list of local shops that they put together from their shop competition that they do every year. And then shop hops are coming up this summer. So if that's something to look for, participate in your shop hops. And Andi, you had a great point about sharing the wealth. Do you want to share?
Yeah. This was kind of one of the points that Karen McTavish was making, was that we all beeline for that sale corner, that we want to see what's on sale so we can get the best deal. And quilters are really good at repurposing. You know, we can take old clothing and turn it into a quilt. So she had a good reminder that as much as you want to find the sale, you also need to support the shop and buy some of that full-priced material as well. And I find this when I go on a shop hop as well, that I just make a list and I try to make a small purchase at every single shop. So I'm not spending hundreds and hundreds and hundreds of dollars at every single shop, but I am able to support all of the shops with a little bit of a purchase. So if you have a set budget for your quilting, maybe try to spend some of that money at a new shop and make sure that everybody has a chance to stay in business. And we know businesses come and go, and sometimes it's the survival of the fittest. And if it's not a sustainable model, then it would be understandable if they were to go out of business. But it's very sad to see people that we have known for a long time in the industry that just are being forced out by some of these other policies. So it's a tough time, but if we all stick together, I think we will definitely survive, and quilting can make life a little bit better.
And I would encourage our audience to share your story, share your voice in that conversation, even if it's just this is how I'm supporting my local businesses, my local quilt shops in particular, and just sharing what you're planning on doing. I think that can be a powerful way to inspire ideas, to get people thinking about what they could do. And things like that. And even share how you are saving money. So how are you spending it, but how are you saving it? I just saw a TikTok about a girl who was looking for sheets. She went to look for sheets for backing because she didn't have the funds for backing from the quilt shop, but she did go and buy a class to learn the long arm at the quilt shop. So she's trying to find ways to cut some of her funds, but also invest in her local community. And I feel like that is where our mindset needs to be during a tough economic time, is how can I make this sustainable for myself and put my money where I want to see more money, really. Mm-hmm. And if it's the quilting industry, then you need to look at how you're spending your money. And I love how Andi said, spread the wealth. Yeah. I love that, because we're not asking you to spend hundreds and hundreds of dollars unless you really, really want to. Mm-hmm. And you have those funds. But yeah, look at what you could do to help our industry. And I'm doing the same. I'm sure Andi's going to do the same. And we're going to get through this rough time together.
Yeah, because the community, everybody always comes back to, that's the best part of quilting, is the community, the friends that you make, the connections, and everything else. And that will definitely sustain us. So thanks again for being here. Go over to Patreon, Quilting on the Side, at either the BFF $5 level or the Side Hustler $15 level. Will be much appreciated. And we'll see you soon for season 5, when we do a little more Quilting on the Side. What a great discussion. If you enjoyed this episode of Quilting on the Side, please leave us a review on whichever platform you're listening. It can be iTunes, Spotify, or even our YouTube channel.
And hit the subscribe button so you don't miss our next chat. Until then, remember to have fun in your business and do a little quilting on the side.